Now to our first story. Parliament has put on hold the credit agreement to furnish the offices of members of the House due to the impasse with the Ministry of Finance over their delayed statutory funds. The MPs refused to approve any motion until the issue is resolved. Meanwhile, the Speaker is to be sworn in to act as President today.
After a long meeting between the leadership and the Ministry of Finance team, it was still not clear whether an arrangement has been put in place for the payment of the funds. The majority leader, before the commencement of public business, promised members an update on the matter by 2 p.m. The members therefore became agitated when at 2 p.m. nothing was forthcoming by way of update, making it clear they would not approve any motion unless the matter is resolved.
We have to take the word of the minister and leader of government business seriously. That is the discussion we're having.
I agree with you completely. But as you are very much aware, at the time you were leaving, we were not made aware that you were leaving in connection with this particular subject matter.
Mr. Speaker, I'm craving your indulgence on this matter to invite the House to move a motion for rescission so that the House business can go forward. I'm craving your indulgence.
The Speaker then left his seat to consult with both leaders of the House. The Job 600 credit agreement was therefore put on hold by the Speaker, hoping to strike a compromise with the members. But in the absence of the Speaker, the motion was brought back to the floor, sparking arguments amongst members. The Speaker then returned with anger and washed his hands off the matter.
I've come to the end of the road on this matter, and I'm informing you, all of you, I've come to the end of the road. I cannot continue fighting this battle from the time I was First Deputy Speaker up to this time. I've come to the end of the road, and whether you get offices or not, I'm not going to involve myself in this matter again.
The Job 600 motion was then deferred by the Speaker.
We should defer it and take other business. We agreed and we move on.
The House then went into a closed sitting to get the matter resolved. The emergency meeting was extended to ensure the agenda for which the summons was made by the Speaker is carried out.
Well, away from Parliament, President John Mahama has extended the deadline of the public sittings of the sole commissioner investigating the payment of judgment debts. The President extended the deadline of October 8 to April next year to enable the commissioner finalize examination of some judgment debts paid by the state. In an interview, lead counsel for the commission, Dometi Kofi Sokpo, said the extension will afford the commissioner ample time to handle the enormous work before it and make appropriate recommendations. The Judgment Debt Commission was set up by the President in October 2012 to thoroughly examine the payment of all judgment debts and negotiated settlements and recommend legislative and systems remediation for immediate implementation.
Now, the Bank of Ghana has indicated it has not relented in its efforts to trace documents on the judgment debt transaction involving the GNPC drill ship that was sold off. The Governor, Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, at a news conference told journalists the bank is currently looking through its archives for the records.
We haven't established that whether I'm saying that we are still looking. We are still looking into our records because this thing happened. At first I thought it was something which happened in 2007 or so, but apparently it was much earlier, 2001 or something like that. So we are still looking through our archives to see whether the records do exist. So as of now, I cannot give a firm indication as to whether the records are there or they are not there. We haven't established that whether I'm saying that we are still looking. We are still looking into our records because this thing happened. At first I thought it was something.
Okay, so we told you earlier that the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Edward Doajaho, will be sworn in today as the acting president, and that's because Vice President Kwesi Amissah-Arthur is in London, and President John Dramani Mahama will today travel to Bamako, Mali to participate in the swearing-in of Ibrahim Boubacar Keita as President of the Republic of Mali. In the absence of the Vice President, that's Kwesi Bekwai Arthur, the Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Edward Do Ajaho, shall, in accordance with Article 60, Clause 12 of the Constitution, act as President. President Mahama, meanwhile, will return to Accra later today.
Now, away from that, the National House of Chiefs has denounced what it saw as distasteful online publication by the New Free Press, linking the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei Tutu II with alleged bribes paid to swing the Supreme Court's verdict on the election petition in favor of President John Dramani Mahama. It said it takes exception to the attack on the dignity and integrity of the chieftaincy institution, and for that matter, the Menchia Palace. A statement signed by Aulai Atibu Kusu, the third Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, cautioned journalists to avoid reportage and discussions that tend to denigrate chiefs, particularly prominent chiefs in the country.
Now, the Bank of Ghana's Monetary Policy Committee has maintained the policy rate at 16%, citing a balance in the outlook for inflation and growth risks. According to the MPC, increment in petroleum prices and transport fares, coupled with a possible adjustment of utility tariffs in the fourth quarter, are likely to up inflation, but says barring any shocks, it could move back to the 9% target range by the first half of 2014.
The MPC revealed that the momentum in economic activity had increased with an improvement in the real composite index of economic activity, improving to 350.1 from 326.1 in July last year, representing a year-on-year growth of 7.1%. Despite this development, the country continues to face fiscal pressures as domestic revenue collection remains low at 9.8 billion cedis, below the target of 11.6 billion cedis after the third quarter. Expenditure also remained high, resulting in a fiscal deficit equivalent to 6.3% of GDP against a target of 5.6%. Chairman of the MPC, Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, explained the disparity in economic activity and accompanied shortfalls in domestic revenues.
When you have an economic activity picking up, that may translate into revenues, but there is a lag of that. And I have, from our discussions with GRA, we have been told that they've seen some pickup in revenues as well. The pickup relates to even facts that we see in the economy. For example, the energy problems that we've had, we've seen significant improvement in that. Another thing that brings confidence is the recent peaceful resolution of the Supreme Court case. So we expect that we'll see some increase in revenue collection going forward.
Though inflation declined in August, the MPC says there are chances it could be going up and does the decision to maintain the policy rate.
There has been further adjustment in petroleum prices and transport fares in September. There is also the possibility of adjustment of utility tariffs in the fourth quarter. The uncertainty in commodity prices also pose risks to inflation. Although the inflation forecast has improved at this MPC round, the central path remains slightly above the upper limit of the target band. Barring any shocks, inflation could move back to the target range by the first half of 2014. On the balance of risks, the committee held the view that the risks in the outlook for inflation and growth are balanced, and therefore decided to keep the policy rate unchanged at 16%.
On the external sector, the committee noted that the country's international reserves had increased to $5.8 billion, covering 3.2 months of imports in August 2013 from $5.3 billion in December last year.
Now, away from that, a murder suspect has escaped from his prison cell in Bongo in the Upper East region, where he was on remand. The suspect, Anyagre Atinga Dombiri, alias Labista, is alleged to have stabbed one Ayua Atinga to death last month at Bongo. So, Albert Sori's report.
According to a friend of the deceased and a witness to the murder, the suspect had confrontation with the deceased the day before the incident. The deceased reported to the suspect's parents because they considered the suspect as a younger brother. The suspect on the day of the incident again confronted the victim on why he had been reported to his mother. A misunderstanding ensued thereafter, and the suspect stabbed Ayua Atinga multiple times to his death. A formal report was made at the Bongo police station the next day, and the suspect was subsequently arrested after being on the run for 2 weeks. After being processed to appear in court on Wednesday, 18th September 2013, the suspect mysteriously escaped from the Bongo prison cell where he was being held in custody. Family of the deceased say they suspect foul play because a judge in Bolgatanga had ordered the police to remand the suspect at the Navrongo prison, but the police brought him to Bongo instead. Jonathan Azubila is a member of the deceased family.
Brother tell me that was crossed here before. This is the second time. So he have to go to give money from parents. Okay. But if he add another district 3 times. After that, just took my brother finished. Myself, I don't know if it's the knife proof this thing. So just do this. So I just separate tell them, make it if they come and do what they have to do.
At the Bongo District Magistrate Court on Wednesday, Bongo District Prosecuting Officer Chief Inspector Nelson Zan told the court presided over by Magistrate Judge Lariba Yamusa that the suspect, Ayagre Atinga Dombiri, aka Labista, had escaped from his cell on the 16th of September at about 8:30 p.m. and a search for him was being carried out. Chief Inspector Zan also told the court that roadblocks had been mounted all over the region to ensure that the murder suspect is rearrested. The case has, however, been adjourned to September 25, 2013, and the police tasked to produce him in court. Bongo District Police Commander ASP Kwame Nimo declined to speak on record, but confirmed the escape of the murder suspect to Joy News. He said 2 police officers who were on duty on the night of the escape have been charged to produce the suspect within 1 week, adding that the 2 officers will be punished according to laid down police regulations after they face a disciplinary panel. Albert Sori's report from the Upper East region.
Okay, now to our last story for this morning, a local story. The Ghana National Education Campaign Coalition has charged government to set standards for school structures in the country to ensure the safety of school children.
Leslie Tete, the executive director of the coalition, told Joy News schools that fail to meet the standards should not be allowed to operate. His concerns come on the back of the death of an 8-year-old Class 3 pupil of Greater Care International School who died after falling into his school's latrine on Tuesday. The boy, Kamel Bashiru, has since been buried.
Okay, so that's it for the bulletin. But before we go, a second look at our top story. The Speaker of Parliament, Right Honourable Edward Doajahu, is to be sworn in today as the acting president since the vice president is not around, and the president is also travelling to Bamako, Mali for the investiture of their new president, Ibrahim Boubacar Keita.
Now, government extends the October deadline of the Judgment Debt Commission by 6 more months.
And a murder suspect has escaped from his prison cell in Bongo in the Upper East region. And that's it for the news this morning. We'll have sports in a bit.
You were telling me about how disappointed you were last night because Chelsea lost. I know.
Yeah.
You support Chelsea?
No, I don't actually. I don't support any team.
Why?
I don't have that. I don't know. It's just beyond me.
Just like what's her name? Gifty. Yes.
But she okay. Well, Gifty doesn't really know them that well. That's the problem.
Oh, okay. But you know them.
Not a little bit.
A little.
I'm not so into sports. But I know Chelsea, Man U.
Okay. Save us the rest. but smart. Chelsea lost yesterday. Jose Mourinho. I mean, I think that was.
I think it's the second in a row in just that weekend and then this week. It's not fair. So
was it a good comeback, or
that was what I was about to ask.
He's sitting on a time bomb?
Did he have to come back at all?
Oh, is Abramovich planning something for Mourinho that we don't know? You know, they had a bust out before he left about 6 seasons ago.
Exactly.
But
he was there when he decided to come back, and he agreed to let him come back. So
actually, Abramovich was the one who initiated the process for him to come back. But I don't know. I think he's just set a time bomb for the man. I don't know. Sports on the AM show is proudly sponsored by Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo. You're welcome back. I'm Rashida Baba Kadri. Now, last night there was action in Europe. Lots of shock results and also shock defeats. Marseille lost at home to Arsenal at the Stade Velodrome. Chelsea also lost at Stamford Bridge to no other side than Basel. But of course, Barcelona kept their campaign on a good start because they won, and a lot more other results. Let's catch a glimpse of what happened in some of the matches in the UEFA Champions League yesterday's stage. Welcome back. Yesterday was a fantastic one for the Ghanaian trio of Jordan Ayew, Kevin Prince Boateng and Sile Ali Muntari. Now, I'm sure that Coach Kwesi Appiah might be doing a lot of thinking, considering who he would have to put in his 18-man squad for the two-legged qualifier of Egypt in the last playoffs to the Brazil 2014 World Cup. Let's see how that goes. But coming up later tonight in the Europa League, there's Valencia up against Swansea City in Group A. Other matches, you can also look ahead to PSV Eindhoven versus PFC Ludogorets Razgrad. There's also Fiorentina up against P. Ferreira. Eintracht Frankfurt will play at home to Bordeaux. Dynamo Kiev would play against Genk, and then there's also Apollon Limassol, that's from Cyprus, up against Trabzonspor, and then Tottenham Hotspur, they will be at home to Tromsø. And then Maccabi Haifa would host AZ Alkmaar. So those are the matches that are coming up later today in the Europa League. Now, I'll tell you what, Ghana has drawn against Libya, Ethiopia, and Congo in Group C of the upcoming CHAN Championship for 2014. That will be Group C. So the home-based national team, they were seated in Group C. They will play their group opponents at the Free State Stadium at the Mangaung on Wednesday. That's following yesterday's draw. So that's Ghana is in Zone West B. That's Ghana's Zone West B. And then it will be staged in South Africa from 11th of January to the 1st of February next year. So Ghana is in Group C with Libya, Ethiopia, and Congo. That's the CHAN competition just before we get ready for the Brazil 2014 World Cup. So this one will kickstart the season for next year. And on that note, we'll do it for sports for this morning. My name is Rashida Baba Kadri. Sports on the AM show is proudly sponsored by Tigo. Smile, you've got Tigo.